Hello, welcome to Transparent Owl. This is my studio and shop in Long Beach, Washington. You can see as we go through the area that it's not very big, but I've got a lot of stuff packed in. We're moving towards the back. It's very narrow and long. You can see my easel with some of the paintings on it for my new deck. You can see at the back my desk where I do my YouTube videos. And you can see I've got paintings and puzzles. So I do a lot of wooden jigsaw puzzles, and they're all just stacked to the roof. Thank you for joining me today, and we're going to be looking behind the scenes at the High Priestess. I'll show you quickly how the ink work progressed, and then I'll take you into the actual painting, the final coloring of the piece, so you can see how I go through that process as well. Typically, I start with the eyes and the beak. And a lot of times I will do them in yellow. And that, it kind of helps me break, because now I've got all the ink work done. I'm a little nervous to put the color in. Don't want to, since I like what I've done, I don't want to mess it up, so you always have to I always have to get through that initial barrier of putting color down. It's another reason why I like having the acrylic pour in the background, because I've already got some color on the piece. It's not just a straight pen and ink. And I really like the look of pen and ink. So I have a hard time, adding color to it anyway. But I usually like it a lot when I'm finished. It's just that initial, jumping in part that I'm going with. I also usually paint on an easel. I'm doing it on a tabletop so that you can really see what I'm doing, and it photographs better. The lighting is better. But we'll see how this goes, and have fun with it. Like I always say, if I really don't like it, I can. Now, once you put the color down, if you put oil down and you put some acrylic down, it covers up some of your ink, some of the ink lines. So then I've got my pens here. I have to go back in and touch those up a little bit, but we'll worry about that after I've got some of the color in there. The final color that I do is white. I go back in and I do, the highlights. And it's always one of the last things. I kind of will alternate between white and the ink, so that it kind of comes across. Now I do, at this point, I'm using acrylic kind of like watercolor. I don't, in these, I like that watercolor feel. The background has enough of the the thicker look to it. So I try not to be too heavy with the color through the piece. You can see that I like using my hands. As I said in a different video, I tend to end up with paint everywhere, and it's just the way I roll. So I try not to. At least with acrylic, I can clean it up pretty fast. The color. Just got some light color in through there. I want to make sure we get some darker blues in there. The background is, relatively green, so I want a little bit of contrast. And for this color part, I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants. I don't ever sketch this part out. I just I look at the ink work, and I go with my intuition and just go with what I think the color should translate out as. This is where, painting 101 comes in. You want to use some complementary colors to, give some life. Your eye will blend it together. Necessary to have a lot. Just the littlest hint will draw your eye through a piece. And even if you don't really realize that a section has a little bit of that color, your eye still is drawn to it and will pick it up. It's fascinating how vision and color theory works. Okay. So I'm liking the colors through the figure. And let's get some white highlights going, especially in the eyes. A little bit on the nose. It's going to be a really, really fine brush, since especially on those eyes. when you get to the point that, you know, you're happy with the overall color, which I am, I still want some accent in, something to draw you to the face. And red is always a great color. You know, I very rarely use it just straight up, but I love to use it as additions to my dark areas because it draws your attention, gives life. I use blues in there as well to do the same thing. So now that I've added a little bit of red tones, I'll go in and put a little bit of blue in there. The two of them side by side really, you know, bring out some of these dark areas. The other thing I like, I don't like, you know, it needs to not have such a strong incline all the way around. So at this point, I'll take a little bit of white. You know, I'll make it not quite such a strong, I'll cover up some of those strong lines so that your eye can, you know, kind of find its way into the background. You know, you don't want it so stark that it doesn't look like part of the background. You want it to be part of the overall painting. On my next step, I'll put it on my easel, step back, look at it a little bit more, probably tweak a little bit, maybe add some dark lines back in, maybe take a few more out. We'll just see. We'll just see what works for me. Thank you for joining me, and I'll put the final piece up next.